And Happy New Year, Aquarius. It is 2021 that we are looking at. And yes, we're out of 2020. That was a year of huge transformation for everybody involved, right? And it did have its downfall and holding us back and whatnot. But there's also some upsides to it. And that's what we're going to be checking on now, where we could take it from 2020 and what this new year is going to bring us. And so pay attention, get your notebook out as we go along. I could see where it was difficult for you, Aquarius, in 2020 because you felt kind of held back in this inner space. You know, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn was all in the 12th house. And that's where we go when we just want to rest up, when we want to recharge our batteries and so forth. It kind of left you, a lot of you maybe, feeling a little unmotivated to get out there and do things. However, what it was good, that whole slowdown was good for one reason, and that it allowed you to really go within. The 12th house is the inner spirit, the inner self, the higher self, all of those things, right? So even if you weren't that much out and about in communication and so forth, you were visualizing, you were dreaming. It was dream state. And for those of you who could roll with that, I think it was a very creative time because the 12th house is ruled by Pisces, right? So I feel there was a lot of spiritual growth, a lot of thinking of why things are the way they are, the state of the world. And, Aquarius is always about the future. So I think many of you that come up with genius ideas, because you guys are the cutting edge. Always thinking outside of the box, always thinking, what can we do to improve? So some of you might have come up with some new patents and so forth, which I'm really proud of you. Of course, not all of you would do that, but still thinking about the future development and so forth. Now, the good news, the great news, Aquarius, is here. Take a look at your first house. Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter was locked in there for a whole year. Saturn has been locked into that area for 2.5 years. Both of them now into the first house, which is all about you personally. It's the I am feeling that we have. What I want, I will this, I need this, I want that. You are really going to be marching a parade about who you are now, coming out of that cocoon of 2020. And the world will see you in glorious colors as you present yourself out to the world. Jupiter expands everything it touches. So what is it going to be expanding for you? Your personality, your first house, right? And Saturn, is coming in at like a reasoning source. Saturn is more grounded. It's sober. It's the taskmaster. It's karma and so forth. So where Jupiter wants to throw itself off the cliff thinking it can fly without a parachute, Saturn will come around and say, are you sure you have this and that down? Are you sure, are you cautious enough? So I think just because of all of this built up energy that you've had, you do feel like you want to throw yourself off a cliff in a good way, in a trusting way, right? It's like jumping out of an airplane. But Saturn's saying, do you have the parachute? Okay, so Jupiter's going to be here for an entire year, expanding you, your personality. Saturn will be here for 2.5 years in this area before it moves on. Now, what you want to know about this that you're growing within your personality, you only have a shot at it once every 12 years, where this expansion state comes in, right? Because then it moves on to the next houses, these areas. And so you've just concluded a 12-year journey, now that Jupiter was in your 12th. So that's why you've been reflecting a lot. What have I accomplished? What have I achieved? Did I do this? Yes, I achieved that. What do I want to achieve now? That's what your higher mind Jupiter is thinking here in 2020. Coming into 21, this is where you're going to be showing that new reinvented self. Whatever you do now this year, Aquarius, you're setting yourself up for how you want your personality to radiate and shine and grow for the next 12 years. You won't have another shot at it before then, because that Jupiter will be moving into your second house of money and income. You know, that's the following year where you're going to be growing that, but more on that later. Right? Now, Saturn's cycle is 28 years. You've been shutting down on a 28, 29 year cycle. That's also why you felt tired. I won't say repressed, but internalizing a lot this last year, because you were wrapping up what you started 28, 29 years ago and saying, I've done this and I've achieved that, but what do I want to achieve now? So you've been in this cocoon preparational state, which now, when Saturn comes up, you're putting the foundation and the grounding of who you are and who you no longer are. You know, so this reinvention really allows you now to set the whole stage for Saturn's journey through the chart for the next 28 years. Make use of this year. But you have 2.5 years to work on self-image, okay, before that moves into your financial house. Anyway, this is why I also do say listen to your moon and rising sign readings. Also, if you happen to know where your moon sign is, if not, I can help you, or the rising sign. Why? Because what you're experiencing here and hearing me say about your personality, where Jupiter is, where we're going to have the huge expansion, in your moon reading, these two planets will show up elsewhere in the chart, right? And it will show you where you can expect the next expansion more emotionally, because the moon is how we react and reflect, whereas the sun radiates, right? So you'll see what kind of an emotional year you will have if you listen to that. And the rising sign reading is how you're projecting yourself out to the world, how the world is going to be receiving you and getting you, right? So all three readings are super important to you. And of course, when you listen to your partners, if you do that, you will have the full setup for what both of you can be experiencing here in 21. But the next thing I'm going to focus on here, Aquarius, is Mars. And why? Well, you know, Mars has a 2-year cycle. So in 2020, Mars was in your third house for 6 months. Normally, and listen to this, normally Mars moves through a sign and an area within 6 weeks. Due to its retrograde in 2020, it took 6 months to move through this area. So that was also part of the slowdown. We blame it all on Corona, right? But that's not really the thing, though. Mars is our action, our drive, our motor, our physicality. It's what motivates us to get up and out of bed and go do what we need to do. When it was retrograde for so long, we felt a little bit more lethargic, non-motivated, right? So, but it did give you an extended time to work on this area. And what is the third house? Third house is all about communication. How we communicate, what we communicate, how we present those things important to us. It also rules short distance travel and so forth, and our closer community, like our neighbors and also our siblings and so forth. So you've had more focus on dealing with those things, but it's also you questioning yourself, how can I present my visions, my thoughts, my creativity? How can I present that out to a larger group? So, you know, you've had that ample time to do so. And now, as we start up January, it's at 27 degrees as we enter into 21, and we're going to follow it for the next year through 8 houses. Normally it takes 2 years to go around one, but we're going to find the areas where you're needing to focus on so you can become super successful this coming year. So January 7th to March 5th, Mars will be in your 4th house for family. Your foundation, who you are on the inside. Okay, it's our grounding, right? And so I can see there's been projects that's been, you know, cooping up. That dealt with, you know, so every once in a long shot, we find that the energy is with us to feel motivated to go clean out the basements, the garage, the loft, maybe paint projects, whatever it is. And so you're going to be very busy in January through March to get your house in order so you don't have to think about it for the next 2 years, right? And that is a good thing, because one thing is to do it when we're not motivated, then it feels like a chore and it's heavy. But when we're motivated, oh, the joy, and you're going to see how everything is going to shape itself to a way that you're going to feel happy with for the next couple of years. Then from March 5th to April 24th, Mars will be moving through this sign of Gemini in your 5th house. Now, the 5th house is all about joy. It is about leisure, the things that we do when we're having time off or when we're creative, because it is the area of self-expression. So you're going to have fun with this. Where is that self-expression going to go, right? It could be painting, music, singing, dancing, whatever floats your boat, right? So a very, very creative time for those of you who like to write. You might find yourself writing a lot. And then the 5th house, 2 more things. It covers romantic energy. So some of you, if you're single, you might find that this is a great time to go out and date and maybe find that significant other. It's not necessarily talking about long-term romantic energies. We'll talk about later when Mars moves into the 7th house. But the 5th house is having fun with your partner, being romantic and so forth. And also children rules in under this area. So more interacting with your children, supporting them with where they're at and where they're going, should I say. Or also receiving a lot more attention from your children. It goes both ways. So for this period is super divine to do so. Now then from, April 24th to June 11th, we're looking at the 6th house, Aquarius. Now that is important because it rules our health, for one. Have we been eating correctly? Or do we need to drop some of the corona weight? Do we need to start working out? Those things are important. Get your annual checkup. This is a great time to do so. But 6th house is also your day-to-day routine, your schedule, figuring out what works for you so you can become super efficient. Maybe there was some routines that piled up on you in 2020, right? That was okay for back then when things were slow. But now that you're picking up all this speed, you don't have time probably now to sit and scroll through, your social media, and waste an hour or 2, 3 throughout the day. So it's cutting back. Mars is very point specific, clear on how to become more efficient, to strategize and organize your day-to-day so success can follow. And if you do a good job here, the rest of your year is going to be incredible. You can achieve 10 times more success when you don't have a lot that is around you in your office, distracting you, kind of like messaging you, and now I need to clean this up or clear that. That steals your focus. Once you get all your ducks in a row, hey, you're good to go, right? So, and it's how you start your mornings, do you have a good routine for your mornings? So it sets up the tone for the rest of the day, that kind of thing. This is really, really awesome. So remember, April 24th to June 11th. Note that in your notebook. Now let's talk about your long-term relationships. For those of you in a marriage, or where you have already your significant other, Mars is going to breathe a lot of fire and passion and so forth here. And this will be from June 11th to July 30th. The best time of the year for you to get all your ducks in a row and set things up where things are right, good, deep, intimate, harmonious between you and your partner. You will be breathing a lot of fire, and passion into them, but you can also be the recipient of that extra energy, love, and romance that you can get from your partner. So this is a time to kind of set things straight. Sometimes we have to tweak, right? And not just trust, because when things just go on autopilot, we or the partner can feel just being taken for granted, and that can start building resentment and we have to always stay on top, knowing that a relationship needs to be tweaked and built and loved and so forth. This is the time to do so, and if you get that right, you will harvest for 2 years of that great energy that you're breathing into this area right now. Then we move into shared resources. That means the money that you have with your partner. Is it good? We're having money talks now. Not money as an income. That's more your second house down here. And there's nothing going on here right now. But it's like, is it balanced? Is it fair? Are you paying too much? Is he or she paying too much? So it's kind of tweaking this area so that you're setting yourself up for the next 2 years till Mars revisits there. It's a time to look over the loans that you have. Are you paying too much in interest? Do you need to refinance? Do you need to consolidate? It's also looking at taxes and write-offs and insurances, or also stocks, bonds, whatever it is you invested. This time, if you focus on getting it all set up how you want it to be, not just now for the 6 weeks, but how you want your life to look like over the next 2 years, you will be super successful here in this area, July 30th to September 16th. Get it all done, Aquarius. Trust me, you won't be sorry. Then September 16th to October 31st, now we have a little fun time. Now that we can put all that business aside, all that money talk and everything, vacation time, it might be a little bit of a late vacation, but for those of you who choose to do so, Mars will be on your side, allowing you to really have an exciting vacation. Mars is all about physical activities. You might be out and about, hiking and exploring. And if you weren't able to take a vacation there in 20, this year is really good, opening up for you. And it could even be long distance, as the 9th house rules. Foreign places, people, and cultures, and so forth. So I think that is something that could behoove you, where you'll be quite happy with. And not only that, you're preparing now for a career shift change with anticipation. So you might just sign up for a course. Maybe you're thinking you want to tweak this or that. That can behoove you in such a good way. Doing research, it can even be online, so it doesn't have to be going back to school. Some of you might think you'd like to go back to school, so be it, do that. But then see, when Mars goes into your 10th house here, that's career. And your career is going to be on the top of its height for the last 2 years now. So mark this on your calendar. October 31st to December 14th, Aquarius. This is a time where you can see advancement, where you can achieve a lot in a short period of time. You got approximately 6 weeks to push forward. Some of you might get your promotion at this time, and if you feel that that's been slow coming, you might even be the one to bring it up, right? And if you do, I feel you can be successful in doing so because you're presenting yourself with confidence. Remember everything else that you've worked on throughout the year now. Your foundation, your self-expression, your creativity, your routine. So, if you've really been honing in on what you know your self-worth is, look at that first house over here. Remember, Jupiter wants to expand. Saturn wants you to carry that weight of new responsibility. So Mars can do so good here at the end of the year, October 31st to December 14th, to get that expansion that you so deserve. You've worked all year to get there, so make it work for you. Then towards the end of the year, we have Mars moving into the area of hopes and dreams. Now, if you got that promotion, well, no wonder you're living now your hopes and dreams, right? I love that. This area also is your social network. It's groups and organizations. It's where you find your tribe, right? So Mars is going to be very busy here and trying to get things together, maybe on social networks, because it's ruled by Aquarius, the 11th house, and that's anything technology. It's the web, it's the internet. and wanting to shoot new goals because it's moving through the sign of Sag. So, you know, fiery Mars loves that Sagittarian energy. So you're really going to be shooting some new goals here. At the very end of the year, that can be you, Aquarius, setting yourself up for the future for year 2022. So you're all good and set to go by year's end. So now you can see where the energies are. I'd say come back and listen to this down the road, you know, so you have your dates clear if you didn't write these down, but these dates are really, really good for you. Listen to your moon and rising sign. I always say that because you'll see other areas of a chart where Jupiter is going to expand for you and where Saturn's going to give you new responsibility. So when you do that, also listen to your partner's chart to see what he or she will be receiving. So it was good seeing you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next month. Have a good one.